if these black men are the ones with the resources, which I don't know where he's getting his stats from, but let's go with this world. If these are the black men, right, who have the money and the resources and could be leaders in the community, builders in the community, as you just stated earlier, right? If they're the ones with the resources, if we are thinking about helping and building the community, shouldn't they be the ones you talk to about investing in the? No, I don't. No. Hey guys, welcome back to Themis and Thought. Grab your coffee, water, tea, whatever you're drinking, go and get that. Today we're going to be talking about a trend I've noticed regarding this question about quote unquote, why do our black men not like us? Um, the glee with which people try to answer that question is very annoying to me, but we're going to talk about it, so let's do it. Also, um, I'm testing out all the new equipments that I've had for over a month now, so I guess they're not new. The audio, at least, I'm not even going to attempt to do visuals. Not even going to attempt to use my actual camera that I got. So let's try this audio thing. Mm. All right. So the question is very simply, what, why is it that black men hate black women, right? And a lot of black women have been asking this question online. I'm not sure why, right? Because it's not like people are going to become self reflective, right? It's not like we're going to, in an effort to answer the question as black men, start thinking about racism, how it has maybe invaded our psyche unknowingly, or even to some of us knowingly, and what that has done to us, right? In terms of colorism, featureism, and all of that stuff, right? I don't think there's going to be any depth in the response. And I know there's not going to be any depth because we have some of the responses, right? So this is one of the first videos that I've ever saw with a woman asking the question, and I kind of moved on from it, but it's coming up a lot. So here, let's go.
Can somebody explain to me exactly what black women did to make damn near every race, even a lot of our own black men, hate us?
Sure can. Took advantage of government assistance. Kicked us out of the house. Joined the feminist train and demonized your men. Allowed billions of dollars every year to exit our community on fake aesthetics of beauty. Praised and joined homosexual men while demonizing heterosexual men that assert themselves. Took our children away from us and used them as bargaining chips to further financially disenfranchise us. Used sex as a weapon in our intimate relationships to get what you want. Became the only women in the world to tell the world that they don't need their men. Perpetuated the trope that black women are the backbone of black communities, which directly implies that black men have no spine and are useless. Continually pushing the narrative that black women are the winners of the oppression Olympics while not having any metric of which they are treated worse than black men. Allowed their weight to slip such that sexual attraction is diminished. Hot girl summer. Engaged heavily in prostitution, legal sex work, OnlyFans, etc., and then demanded that your men protect and respect you. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I can make a part two.
So a lot of people have asked me to respond to that. No, thank you. I will not be responding to that. Outside of just ignorance and lies, I decided that I would focus more on something very specific, right? The glee with which he came forward to answer the question and say, oh, I can make a part two, implies that he is accepting the premise of the female's question, which is, why do black men hate black women? I.e., black men hate black women, right? Instead of, I don't know, pushing back on the premise on which the question is based and then complaining if you want, he accepts the premise and then explains why the premise is what it is. So I'm not going to go back and forth with that man. And the reason I'm not going to go back and forth with him is because, well, did women take your children from you, or did you abandon your children, right? Did women kick you out of the house, or were you quote unquote bumming it, right, with these women, right? are these women becoming quote unquote feminists, or is there a requirement for 50-50? Right? Like, I feel like there's just this kind of delusion happening, and I don't feel like engaging any further than I have on that specific video. Right? Now, a subscriber sent us this video. She posted it on her channel. I'm actually watching it from her channel, Erica, and we're going to watch this video. This is all going to make sense in a moment, but I need to get through the sort of dialogue that is happening, and then we can attempt to break through it, right? So here's what Erica sent me.
Why are so many black men dating Latinas and dating white women more than ever? And here's my quick response. No stress, no drama, more support. And it's that simple. When we walk out the house every day as black men, it's a high probability that we might not make it home. So the last thing we want to do is come back home to an argument, to a bunch of stress, and a bunch of unnecessary drama. And it's that simple. Is this an attack on black women? No. I love my black queens. I love my black.
First of all, you little colonizers need to stop attempting to judge black women based on European femininity standards, since we all know that we birthed all this shit. I mean, what if we started holding you to European masculinity standards? I mean, what if we started expecting you to make things like laws, or own things like land, or govern things like countries? Or what about free things like yourself or us? If you're gonna tell the story, tell the whole story. Tell the people how, when you date and marry out, that you, one, turn them into single mothers at a higher rate than even black women. And when you do finally decide to marry them, that you have a 200% higher divorce rate than any coupling. In fact, black men have the highest divorce rate of anyone. So I suppose that since most of those divorces are initiated by the women, that at some point they realize that the grass isn't greener on the darker side of the fence. Let me give you some high probabilities for black women when they walk through your doors. 60% of all black women and girls are raped or molested before the age of 18 by black men. Black women are killed by domestic partners 3 times that of any other race of women by black men. And 60% of all new HIV cases in black women are from their husbands and boyfriends, not from casual sex. And since we know that black women date out at only a rate of about 4%, almost all of those cases are from y'all. If this is your idea of love for black queens, let me speak for the collective and say it's a hard pass. But you, sir, don't have any queens because you are not a king. You are a colonized pawn in the game of patriarchy, doing the clear man's bidding by spreading stereotypical tropes about black women based on their standards. Bless your heart.
That the lady handled that, so we don't have to. It's quite unfortunate that for a lot of people to get this, they have to get dragged all over the internet first before they realize that, well, maybe the problem isn't with everyone else. Maybe it's with me, right? And it's one of the very strange things, right? This group of people, black men in this case, and very specific groups, right, within the black community, they will talk about how horrible black women are, but won't take into consideration the fact that every other woman seem to have the same complaint about them. And not that every other woman is right, but if you're going to extrapolate from your experiences and the experiences of black men generally, then it doesn't make sense for your understanding of the world to be so biased that you cannot see that it's not just black women who have the complaints. It's not just black women who are being turned into single mothers with absentee fathers. Like, every race of women that you engage with becomes that, right? So maybe it's not everyone else, and maybe it is you, right? Like, maybe it's the system, right? but it's not everyone else. It might be you, or it might be the system, but it's not everyone else. The same outcome happening to everyone seem to suggest that the constant is all right. All right. So I am now taking it a step further, right? And the reason I'm taking it a step further is because a part of what is happening is in answering the question about why black men don't like black women in the affirmative from black men on the internet is this pointing to other race of women, races of women, and explaining how better it is over there with other groups of women. All right. Jeannie Mae comes to mind. Jeannie Mae, I don't know. She comes to mind. And black men have online. And when I say black men, I think I need to be very specific here because a black man that I know would never do some foolishness like this. But the black men online, those are who I'm talking about, right? The black men online are praising young Jeezy, I don't know, the rapper, for quote unquote bagging Jeannie Mai, right? Now, as a black man, I was very much ashamed when I saw this relationship. And no, it is not because I think Jeannie Mai is a bad person or whatever. No, it is because of what she said. I find it very difficult to believe that a self-respecting black man would date Jeannie Mai. Now, I will play that video from the reel in a moment because it makes no sense, right? But before I do that, let's go to O'Shea Duke Jackson because he's one of the content creators who seem to believe that young Jeezy being with Jeannie Mae is some kind of a win for black men. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me how. But we're still going to talk about it because it literally makes no sense. So this is what O'Shea Duke Jackson had to say. It's all building, hopefully, at this point.
Jeezy and Jeannie Mai, I have been covering them the last year since they've been engaged and now had a wedding. And Jeannie Mai, who is in her early 40s now, her and young Jeezy are expecting a child together, their first child together. And I've been trying to tell people in the black community, expect to see more of this. More of what? What you're going to see is a lot of black men that have the ability to date other groups of women from the African American community. They're going to start to weigh their options more often than not.
So O'Shea Duke Jackson just said that black men who have the ability to are going to start dating out. We're going to get to ability in a moment. But no, they've already started. Like, intraracial dating and marriage is usually the norm, right? Except for black men. So let's not pretend that black men aren't dating out. Majority are dating intraracially, marrying intraracially. But when compared to other groups of men, black men are just not marrying intraracially, right? And dating intraracially. Now, they are in large part, but when compared to other groups of men, I hope the relativity makes sense to you guys. I don't feel like explaining it. Getting over a sickness, not in the mood, right? All right, let's take that and let's move on. Ability to, that is important because the ability usually means that they financially are able to do so, that they have something that can be invested in another community. This is important to know because hopefully he understands this in more than just the kind of surface level articulation which he does when he says all women date men for money. This is not true. Not for black women. It is not true. So let's continue because it's quite fascinating.
And if those options are better, they will execute them. This is coming from a guy who's a pro-black. Okay? I prefer to deal with people in the African American community. I believe that our women are the best looking, in my opinion. I get along with our women fairly well. Now, whether our women are ready to be in committed marriages and put in the work, that's left to be seen. I think that the numbers are showing that as a group of people, neither one of us are really ready for that in totality.
Nope, that is not what the numbers are showing. In fact, when you're comparing black men to black women, when they're dating interracially, black women, white men partnerships are the least likely to be divorced. The most likely, and the lady in the beginning actually talked about this, so I'm not going to throw any stats up here. Please read the book, It's Marriage for White People. Please read that book. Anywho, when we think about black men engaging with other groups of women, they usually turn those women into single mothers, right? And so this is statistically, like let's get out of our feelings for a moment. And let's talk, because he's saying black women aren't willing to do the work, but it seems with other races of men, it works out. So when we look at black men who date out, it doesn't tend to work out. The divorce rate and the single motherhood rate is rising when black men are in the picture, right? Divorces for black men are highest among any group of people ever. So, like, it literally does not make sense that you are saying black women aren't willing to do the work. No. Statistically, you're going to have to claim that black men aren't doing the work. Or at least no one cares about the work they're doing, and so it still ends in divorce, regardless of what race they decide to engage with. So, again, literally makes no sense. All right, let's continue. This is just a lot. This is a lot.
But everybody is not me. Okay? I want black women to understand that you have a lot of black men who are like me, that they don't want nothing but a black woman. But then you have a lot of guys in the middle who are open to anything. And these guys who are open to anything are going to be the kind of guys that, in my opinion, have a lot more opportunity than not. These are going to be your guys who are very white-collar workers, the skilled labor force, your attorneys, your doctors, your engineers, okay? Your technical guys, your computer engineers, your information systems guys, your guys who are even in good blue-collar work. Don't let those guys make a lot of money. The type of guys who are builders of the black community, are potential builders of communities, you're going to see those guys get petitioned more by non-black women. Okay? And why is that? I'm gonna keep talking about this until the cows come home. The number one reality is many African American women feel that once they have finished school, once they have achieved a certain level of financial success.
No. Explain why it is. Because women do compete for men with resources. So these men with resources are being chased after by women of other races. It's not because of their blackness, it's because of their resources, right? And the truth is, he's going to explain that all women date date for money. And while this in some ways sounds true, it's not. It is not true. It is not true specifically for black women. I actually don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, right? I don't know necessarily if the fact that we can carve out, when we say women date for money, if we can carve the fact that they are black women specifically who will date men who aren't as educated as them because the stats, right? who are unemployed or underemployed, right, who do not have sufficient income to support a family, right? I mean, how are Black women going to be hypergamous when the average income in the Black community is $45,000, particularly when Black women are the least likely to date out of their race, that is. So, no, I'm answering a question he's going to pose later regarding the fact that women all date men for money. So the fact that white women and other women are trying to date Black men who have resources is nothing new. It's not. But when you think about within the culture, the Black community, Black women tend not to do this. And actually, they are chastised for even attempting to do it, right? That the idea of quote unquote gold digging is specifically aimed at Black women, right? So let's be clear about this. And I'm answering a question he poses later, but I need to do it now. But let's continue because O'Shea Duke Jackson is just
this. It qualifies them to be in the same category of a man, right? Meaning that some guy should come and pursue them. Let me tell you something. Be very, very, very honest with you and brute with you, if no one else will. A man who is very talented and realizes he is very talented and can keep himself together somewhat, and he is a high performer, he's a high earner, that man is going to be competed for, whether you like it or not. That's just a flat out truth. Okay? That man's going to get looked at from white women. He's going to get sought after from Indian women. Okay? And they're a little bit more strict, but those who are going to be more liberal, he's going to have looks from everywhere in American society. You are going to be in competition with those kind of women for those men. There's not going to be any home discount anymore. I'm seeing it all too often. Okay? These guys are going to give the best bidder what they're looking for, or they're going to give the best bidder the opportunity to bid for their services as a husband, as a man. All right? These women are going to put themselves in more of a position to meet these guys. Now let's look at Jeezy. Jeezy was dealing with Keisha Cole. Other sisters. I don't know who had the problem here, but it didn't work out. Look at where Keisha Cole is right now, and look at him. I'm not trying to cape for Jeannie Mai or think that she's beautiful or anything like that. I think that if Jeannie Mai was younger, in my personal opinion, she wouldn't deal with Jeezy. But as a 40-year-old Asian lady, you still have a more of an opportunity to get with a high-earning Black man if you're good looking.
so good. So good. Please tell the people why. Why is it that you think a 40-something-year-old Asian lady, because the manosphere puts a lot of emphasis on numbers, particularly numbers for Black women. The number is 35, I believe it was, right? And you've hit the wall and you're too old or whatever. But he says an Asian woman who is over 40 has more of a chance to get with a Black man. Please tell us why. Why is it that Black men would want to date a 40-something-year-old Asian woman and not a 40-something-year-old Black woman? Please tell us why. But let's continue, because here's where he gets to the point about every woman date for money and resources. So let's go.
Okay? That's my personal opinion. Keisha Cole's life has been in shambles. All right? What did she do? She got with this little dude that's like 16 years younger than her. All right? Had a baby. All right? Nobody really wants her, in my opinion. And completely going to be single for the rest of her life. She has absolutely no chance of getting any kind of high value man anymore. Done. Same thing with Aaron Rose. Done. Okay? Absolutely done. And the guy's Nigo Khaled. Done. But look at Jeezy. Option still. Can still get Jeannie Mai. She's still making good money. They'll be living good. He's doing very well in Atlanta. He's well into his 40s. If he and Jeannie Mai didn't work out, he will still be able to get somebody else. That's where we're at right now in America, okay? And while so many people are really trying to give women all these opportunities and tell them falsehoods, the reality is that guys who are higher performing are gonna have the more opportunities. It's just the way it is. We can't take it away. The competition is not for the ladies anymore. That's how it used to be. But Tinder, in many cases, all right, rising rent prices has changed the game. The ball game is not the same. The rabbit got the gun now. And I'm trying to tell sisters that you need to really realize that as much as you're getting your education, as much as you're getting your skill set, and you're working on your beauty, you have to also work towards the man that you want to be with. Because women do flourish better when they have men helping them.
That's actually not true. Health and wellness goes up for men in marriage and goes down for women. I'm not even going to do this with him. There's frightening women into wanting to be with him, and men like him does not make sense. Unless he was opening up the sort of net, if you will, when it comes to men, to include all races of men, nothing he says is of consequence at all within the Black community. It's just not enough. Not enough people making that kind of money. It's not enough people doing what he thinks men are doing to make it so that women need to be competing for these men. I mean, and just the raw numbers of Black women, just that fact keeps coming up on this here because it's super important. But let him continue to cape for Jeannie Mae. Y'all already know what I'm going to play next, but I'm still going to do it when it comes to Jeannie Mae and why it is that I think there are a segment of people who just don't have self-respect, and they will take anything that comes their way just to have proximity to something else that's not Black. But no one is going to talk about that in the manosphere. No one's going to talk about the entrenched ideas around whiteness and closeness to whiteness, even though she is Asian, and what that has done to the Black community. They're not going to do that. Instead, they're going to put the blame and the focus on Black women and what Black women need to do, as opposed to look at their own ideas and how their minds have been shaped by being dominated by white supremacy.
It's the truth. We always talk about protect Black women, and Kevin Samuels made an excellent point. You want to help the Black community as a Black woman? Marry a Black man. But you got to be willing to put in the work to keep the guy.
Hear this so these men he just pointed out have resources and could become builders in a community, right? But they have options, and so they're going to marry out. Now he has a solution to quote unquote help the Black community. To help the Black community, women need to marry Black men. Not Black men who have resources should marry Black women and keep money in the community, but women who he has just articulated aren't doing well and they need a man and all that stuff, that they, to help the Black community, need to stay in the Black community and marry Black men who are leaving the Black community. Like, if these Black men are the ones with the resources, which I don't know where he's getting his stats from, but let's go with this world. If these are the Black men, right, who have the money and the resources and could be leaders in the community, builders in the community, as you just stated earlier.
And these guys who are open to anything are going to be the kind of guys that, in my opinion, have a lot more opportunity than not. These are going to be your guys who are very white-collar workers, the skilled labor force, your attorneys, your doctors, your engineers, okay, your technical guys, your computer engineers, your information systems guys, your guys who are even in good blue-collar work. Don't let those guys make a lot of money. The type of guys who are builders of the Black community, are potential builders of communities, you're going to see those guys get petitioned more by non-Black women. Okay?
Right. If they're the ones with the resources, if we are thinking about helping and building the community, shouldn't they be the ones you talk to about investing in the... No.
Just as much as he got to be putting the work to keep his wife. And what you're seeing from these other groups of women is these women are coming in ready to compete. Okay? That one thing, like, oh, well, she only wants you for your money. Let's just be honest. All women want men for their money and for what they can do for them. Don't.
This is not true. This is literally not true. The fact that people keep saying, oh, black women kick black men out of the home because they wanted welfare indicate that it is not true that black women wanted men for their money. They were with men who did not have money and could not provide. A lot of these men can provide. A lot of men, period, cannot provide, right? So this idea that all women want men for money is not true. There is a hypergamy community on YouTube, and part of the push, the whole reason why it exists for black women is the realization that black women are the willing, right, to date men who have nothing financially to offer them. And a lot of black women invest and take charge financially in their relationship. So, no, not all women date men for money. Now go down in the comments and make normative judgment about why they should or should not. That's not why I'm here to do. I'm just saying no. And yes, I decided to stop flashing stats up on the screen. One, less work for me, but two, more work for you guys who want to challenge anything that I say. Please go do your own work, because now I'm annoyed with it. No one is actually doing any research. They're just coming on and making videos and really just saying nothing. O'Shea Duke Jackson is saying nothing, but we're going to finish this.
Hit me with she gonna call the police on you. Oh, you're afraid of the black women. No, those are ad hominems. Why don't you have a man, boo? Why are these other groups of ladies? It's
not ad hominem attacks, right? A lot of people, and it's interesting because this young black man was attacked. Well, he lost his life after pursuing a white lady who was with her boyfriend or husband at the time, right? There are reports of white women who engage in intercourse with black men and then come back and say, oh, it was R, and those black men end up facing consequences for that. It is not an ad hominem attack to point out that there is a distinct disadvantage to black men who decide to date out if, in fact, law enforcement becomes involved, right? Now, it's interesting, a separate note that I must point out now, there is always this invocation of Emmett Till. And I am thinking now that most people who invoke his name and imagery don't understand what happened then. Because people who are pro dating out, which is, by the way, I am pro doing whatever you want to do, but when I hear people invoke his name, I don't know why people who are saying black women aren't good and that it's safer to be with a white woman would invoke his name. I'm going to leave that there. Please Google Emmett Till and actually read it, because I think most of you will probably stop saying it then.
Taking the men that have the finances and that have the work ethic, like Jeezy own a lot of stuff in Atlanta. Why is that wealth not going to a sister? Okay? Don't tell me it's colorism. All right? Don't tell me he's selling out. To a certain degree, that could be true, but I don't think it's the whole entire story. Why is it that he's not able to find that? And I know Atlanta got a lot of beautiful women out there, but are they ready for men?
All right, I'm done with him. And the reason I'm done with O'Shea Duke Jackson right now is because I didn't make it this far in the preliminary review, because honestly, it's very difficult to listen to him. But colorism might be one of them. You think? I don't understand why it's so difficult to do and not go to a therapist, which we all should do, but there is some level of psychological work that needs to be done to admit certain truths, right? And one of those truths is that, well, a lot of us, not just black people, but It happens in Asia. It happens over the continent of Africa, right? Asia, India, for example, South Korea, right? Where people actually lighten their skin, right? This is part and parcel due to the sort of global impact of white supremacy, right? And so, yes, it is a part of the story about why it is that a 40-something-year-old Asian woman in O'Shea Duke Jackson's mind have more of a chance to get with a black man without even qualifying it about beauty or anything like that. He just made that blanket statement. It is true because a lot of us have been taught that the closer you are to white, the better you are. And that is a huge part of the conversation. Let's hurry up because the video is longer than it needs to be. Honestly, it's longer than it needs to be. I was going to add a part of the live stream where this young lady said black women are the right hand of white supremacy without any ability to back it up. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to move on. And this is the woman, right? Jeannie Mae. This is the woman that these people are seemingly, and by these people I mean black men. I don't know what self-respecting black man would look at Jeannie Mae and what she had said and in any way think that it is a win for young Jeezy to be with her after she has so very articulately in her mind explained when she was with a white man what she prefers and why it is that she would marry a white man and not a black man. All right.
You dated black guys.
Loved black guys. Yeah. I did. But for me, dark meat on the side, white keeps me mean and lean. You know, that's why I married white man. That's what I like.
Hold up. What do you mean, dark meat on the side?
Because she likes weight offensive. I am
No,
going
I'm
to
not.
push.
I'm saying, like, I really do think black men.
Okay. I am not even going to get in there. There's a ton of content creators that went at her for that. I'm just going to say this. When Young Jeezy was asked about it, Jeezy, is it Young Jeezy or just Jeezy? I don't know. When Jeezy was asked about it, he wanted us to know, well, let me not speak for him. Let's hear what he had to say. Because let me tell you, no self-respecting black person would have dated a Jeannie Mae after that. Like, come on.
I've always wanted to ask you this. So there was a comment that she said on The Real a while ago, and she basically said she likes her, what was it, lean and white meat, but then she likes her dark meat on the side. Did y'all ever talk about those comments that she made back in the day?
I'm gonna tell you how real she is.
Because you the entree now, FYI.
It's always an entree. But before we even started dating, we had that conversation.
Really?
You know first thing, when we really talked, she sat me down. She said, listen, it was something that I said, and it might have got taken out of context, and I want you to listen to it in its entirety. And I did. And I think you guys do journalism.
Mm-hmm.
You guys do it every day. People can take what they want. You know what I'm saying? And I know her people. I know her family. I ain't never felt no sense of racism. She comes from the Bay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
She eats
That's
chitlins.
Right. And knows some real, like she knows E40 better than me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I just think sometimes like people look for things in people, but at the same time, you got to know I'm a good judge of character, and I'm not gonna do nothing that's gonna jeopardize my integrity. But she's so.
No one took that lady out of context. She said it on her. This is how bad this is, right? Jeannie Mae was on her talk show talking to her group of friends with her producers who then aired her video. There was no out of context. She said what she said. Like, we're not going to pretend. She came back and she apologized and she said, oh, that's not what I meant and blah, blah, blah. And part of it might have been to boost her man's ego. Who knows? I don't care. But for you to sit there, right, and say, oh, we spoke about it and she's solid and she didn't mean it like that and people took it out of context. Please contextualize. Please. I wish I was doing that interview because my very next question would be, oh yeah, my bad. We probably misunderstood and took it out of context. Could you contextualize it? Because I'm sure she didn't just say, oh, they took it out of context. I am sure she explained to you the context. The context was she was married to a white man who was well-to-do, reportedly. She did a segment and she said that she liked, she did a segment and she said she liked her dark meat on the side. And the main course was her white man. So again, contextualize for us, because we, the John Q public, we are ignorant at this point. But you won't, because you can't. And you've made the decision to be with her, and that's fine. But for everyone running around acting like this is a win, it is not. This, at least to me, is an example of someone who is willing to put aside the bad qualities of someone, and that's fine, the mistakes that someone has made, and be with them, right? Having a child with them, right? That's fine. But when we think about why Black men date out, there are myriad of reasons. One of which is, honestly, because of slavery and the ideas around whiteness and closeness to whiteness. A willingness to take almost anything that would give you access to whiteness, or as close to whiteness as you can, gives some people a sense of validity. I am not saying that is the case for Jeezy. I'm not saying that is the case for anyone that I know who date interracially, but I do know that it is the case for some people. And a willingness to add resource to another community, fine, do it. But the glee with which Black men keep coming out and explaining why Black women are the devil in their minds, right? The willingness to do it so publicly while ignoring all the stats about Black manhood, which could be blamed for the problems in the community, it seems odd to me, right? Black women should choose better. Sure, fine, let's take that. But so would every other race of women who decide to date Black men. So maybe it is not in the choosing, right? Maybe that's not the part. It still could be. But maybe it's not if we're looking at the statistics. That absentee fathers exist in the Black community is not just the Black woman's fault. When we look to other community, we have mixed baby mixed with Black, the father is Black. Absentee fatherhood is highest there as well. Divorce rate with Black men is highest there as well. So it's not just Black women, ultimately, is what I'm saying. And I am doing this because hopefully this is the bow on top of this disgusting conversation happening about why Black women are quote unquote undateable. Maybe it's not just them. And let me add, as I've always add, that the system plays a huge role, right? I am reading this book right now, and if for the people in the book club, we'll be talking about it, right? Post-traumatic slave syndrome. And it is such a good book. It is such a good book. And I will be doing a video for everyone else on this, on the channel, the main channel, of this book when I finish. I'm actually just now done with chapter 1. So I need to get more time. And by the way, when I say I'm done with chapter 1, what I mean is I've finished and I'm rereading and taking notes. So I'm done taking notes on chapter 1 is what I mean. And so I think this will be a good conversation to have. Because I don't think when people say colonized mindset, I think it's done in a pejorative way, as if there is a way to not have a frame of thought that is predicated and centered on whiteness after the world was colonized. It's very difficult to not have the quote unquote colonized mindset. The question is not whether or not you have it, but how do you free yourself from it? I think that's the bigger question. Anywho, let's continue. If you guys like this video, remember to share it, subscribe, like, comment. I actually don't remember how to do any of this, and I don't feel well, so this is it. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you later. Bye. I'm not going to sip the coffee. I can't. I don't feel well. I shouldn't be drinking it. Why am I